This video lesson addresses the third grade standard of Operations in Algebraic Thinking. In this standard, students are asked to solve two-step word problems using addition and subtraction, representing problems using equations with a symbol for the unknown number. In this standard, students will come across some important math vocabulary. One of the words that they will come across is expression. And an expression is made up of numbers and at least one operation symbol. These are the common operation symbols that students will come across in third grade. This is the multiplication symbol, the subtraction symbol, the addition symbol, and the division symbol. Now I'm going to look at some expressions with you and go over what they are asking you to do. Now all of these expressions have the same numbers, a 10 and a 5. But this first one is asking you to add 5 to 10. The next one is asking you to multiply 10 by 5. So 5 groups of 10. Next one is asking you to take away, it's a subtraction, 10 minus 5. And then finally we have 10 divided by 5. So they want you to take the 10 and break it up into 5 groups. These are all expressions. They don't have an equal sign. That's what makes them expressions. The next term I'd like to go over is equations. An equation will have an equal sign. So an equation is a number sentence that uses an equal sign. Sometimes you'll need to find the value of an unknown number. You might see a symbol such as a box to show the missing number. You may also see a letter to represent the missing number. So these questions will ask you to find a number, and they might have a letter in place of that number they want you to find. They could use any number, any letter, to represent the missing number. So here we have 5 plus x equals 10. They want you to tell them 5 plus what equals 10. This x just stands for a missing number. X will equal 5 because 5 plus 5 equals 10. 20 minus p, again, it doesn't matter the letter. They're just asking you to find the missing number. 20 minus what will give you 12. Well, p will equal 8 because 20 minus 8 equals 12. So again, this letter could be any letter. They could put a box, they could put a question mark. It just means find the number that should go there to make this equation true. So we're going to do a few math problems involving equations with missing numbers. Here it says, which equation does not belong to the same fact family as 8 plus p equals 13? Well, first thing you need to do with this is figure out what does that p stand for. So the p in the problem is a missing number, so we're going to find what number, 8 plus what number equals 13. Well, 8 plus 5 equals 13, so p is equal to 5. So now that I know that, I can write this out. 8 plus 5 equals 13, and that will help me to find out which of these equations would not be in the same fact family. I can go ahead in place of the p and write 5s for all of these. So this one says 13 minus 5 equals 8. Well, that is in the same fact family. 5 plus 8 equals 13. That is in the same fact family. This one is 5 times 8 equals 13. Well, that's not true. And it's a multiplication problem, so it's not in the same fact family as this addition problem. And this last one is 13 minus 5 equals, 13 minus 8 equals 5. So, the one that does not belong is C. And again, the first thing we did is we put 5 in place of the P for all of these. Again, the letter could have been any letter. Okay, so we solved that. Let's try another one. This one says, Bill and Ted pick 20 apples. They share them equally. Equally means they get the same amount. Which two equations can be used to find the number of apples each person gets? So you have two people. They have 20 apples. So we're going to, maybe I'll do this little model so I can say Bill gets one, Ted gets one, Bill gets one, Ted gets one, Bill, Ted, Bill, Ted. So I'm up to 5 and 5, so that's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. They each get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So let's see, it says which two equations can be used to find the number of apples each person gets. Now this little symbol here, you might not have seen this before. Don't let that confuse you or frighten you or just make you think you can't do it. That's just separating these two equations. That's all it's doing, okay? So I'm going to look here. We have, these are the two equations. So I'm just going to separate these equations so you can see that. And I just put that symbol there because you might see that in questions. And I don't want that to frighten you or confuse you. So we're looking for the two equations that we could use to find out what these two people, how they divided up their apples. 20 divided by 2 equals A. Did we divide 20 by 2? We did. 2 times A equals 20. Well, 2 times what equals 20? Did this 10? 10. That would work, but let me just check. Could I do 20 plus 20 to find out how they divided them up? No, that would give me 40. 20 minus 2 would give me 18. That can't work. 2 plus 20 would give me 22. Well, they only have 20 apples. This would be 20 minus something gives me 2. That's not going to work. So the two equations that I could use to solve this problem, and I solved it using a model, but the two equations I could use would be 20 divided by 2 equals A, or 2 times A equals 20. So those are equation. Okay, so we're going to solve a word problem together, and we're going to write equation to solve it after we read it, and we're going to also remember to use our cubes method. So I remember that my cubes, I'll write it over on the side again. Cubes means that I will circle, underline, box, write an equation, and solve. So I'm going to read it. It says, Sean runs 5 miles a day. His goal is to run 30 miles. After 5 days, how many miles does Sean, have left to run in order to meet his goal? Write an equation and find the solution. So I'm going to go back, and it says Sean runs 5 miles a day. I'm going to box that. His goal is to run 30 miles. Box that goal. After 5 days, how many miles does Sean have left to run in order to meet his goal? Write an equation and find the solution. So I circled the 5, the 30, the 5. I underlined the question. I'm going to box, and I already boxed that he runs 5 miles a day, and his goal is to run 30 miles. After 5 days, how many miles does Sean have left to run in order to meet his goal? Okay, so I got to figure out, how do I solve this problem? What is my first step? Well, he runs 5 miles a day, and they're telling me after 5 days, so 5 times 5, so he's done that. Or I could do 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, because that's 5 days. How many more miles does he have left to run? So I'm going to say plus, I don't know. So I could put a box. I could put an M for miles. Equals, his goal was 30. If I did the multiplication, I would do 5 times 5 plus, and let's put the M for miles, equals 30. So I need to figure out how many more miles he needs to run to reach his goal. So I can do, if I want to do groups of 5, that's 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, and let me skip count. I have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So he has run already 25. So I have to say 25 plus what equals 30. Okay, so this is 25. This is 25. I'm showing you 3 different ways. This is 25. So 25 plus what miles equals 30. 25. So if I needed to just say 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. If I didn't know that 25 plus 5 equals 30, I could just say 25 and then just put some dots, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So M equals 5. He needs to run 5 more miles. That's my answer statement. Okay, so we've covered expressions, equations, symbols, and we reviewed cubes. So those are some things that you need to know for the standard of operations in algebraic thinking in grade 3.